Ladies and gentlemen, when a man is drowning, he doesn't waste time deciding which breath to take. He inhales with everything he's got. That is how a man behaves when a woman is the one. A man's effort is the purest expression of his intention. When a man genuinely values a woman, his actions will make that truth undeniable. He doesn't operate from confusion, hesitation, or convenience. Instead, he moves with clarity, expectations. He knows what he wants, and his behavior reflects that understanding. You will not need to chase his attention, question his presence, or decode his words. Everything he does becomes a signal, consistent, sincere, and grounded in purpose. He shows up because he wants to, not because he has to. Effort, in this sense, is not just about grand gestures or romantic words. It is revealed in the smallest details. He listens attentively, makes time amidst his chaos, and pays attention to things that matter to her. He remembers what she said. He respects her space, and he supports her dreams without ego. Expectations. That effort is rooted in awareness. He is not just trying to impress her, he is striving to understand her, protect what she brings into his life, expectations, and build something with her. This is not because he's trying to play a role. It is because he sees her as someone worth building with, someone worth changing for. On the other hand, when a woman is only seen as an option, a man's effort becomes inconsistent. He gives just enough to keep her close, but never enough to make her feel secure. His communication lacks presence. His actions lack follow-through, expectation, and his energy lacks direction. He might disappear and return without explanation, keep her guessing, or offer temporary affection that never roots itself in anything real. In this space, she becomes a placeholder for attention, not a priority. It's not that he's incapable of putting in effort. He simply chooses not to. Because effort is a choice, and that choice is driven by intention. What he chooses to water, he wants to grow. What he neglects, he has already decided doesn't deserve his full presence. Expectations. You will see the truth of a man's intentions not in what he promises, but in what he pursues. People can speak beautifully, but intention without effort is like a seed that never touches soil. It goes nowhere. Effort is what transforms intention into connection, into trust, expectation to growth. So, if you ever find yourself wondering where you stand in someone's life, don't ask for more words. Watch their effort. A man who sees you as essential won't wait for perfect timing. He creates space in his life. He clears the distractions. He builds. Because, when someone matters, showing up becomes natural. It's not forced. It doesn't require reminders. And it doesn't need to be begged for. Effort reveals all. It is how respect is shown, how love is built, and how true presence is measured. It cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. Expectations, and it cannot be delayed. When you are the one, you feel it through the consistency of his actions, not the inconsistency of his excuses. Presence carries a weight that promises can never hold. In a world where words are often used to fill silence, presence becomes the rarest language of truth. A man may say all the right things, offer grand declarations, and speak of dreams and futures, but if his presence is missing, those words dissolve into emptiness. Promises without presence are illusions. Comforting to hear but powerless in reality. Expectations. What truly defines a person's care, respect, and commitment is not what they say they will do, but what they consistently do when no one is asking them to. Expectations. Presence is attention. It is availability. It is the decision to be mentally, emotionally, and spiritually engaged in the moment with another human being. Expectations. It means holding space, listening with depth, and choosing connection over distraction. A man who is truly present doesn't need to be reminded of your worth. He sees it and responds to it naturally, because he is with you, not just near you. Promises often come from a place of hope or guilt, and sometimes even manipulation. They are forward-facing, relying on a future that hasn't yet arrived. But presence is grounded in now. It speaks through actions, not assumptions. When a man is present, he shows up on the hard days, not just the good ones. He pays attention when you are quiet, not just when you speak. He notices your energy even before you voice your concerns. That kind of awareness cannot be scripted. It is lived. It is not about how much time he spends with you, but the equality of that time. A few minutes of real presence can nourish more than hours of passive expectations, distracted company. Many relationships struggle not because there's a lack of love, but because there is a lack of presence. Expectations. You can't build something meaningful with someone who is always elsewhere. In their mind, on their phone, in their own world of chaos. Expectations. Presence is what builds trust. It's what allows you to feel seen, heard, and valued. It removes doubt and brings clarity. It's not about fixing problems or having all the answers. It's about being there, fully, when it matters most. Expectations. The irony is that presence requires nothing more than attention, yet it is one of the most difficult things for people to give. In its absence, even the most beautifully spoken promises feel hollow. In its presence, even silence feels safe. So when a man chooses to be present, expectations, not just physically but with his full awareness, he is offering something deeper than any promise could reach. He is giving his time, his attention, expectations, and his energy, all of which are forms of love far more powerful than words alone. That kind of presence becomes the foundation for something real. Expectations, something rooted in truth, not fantasy. Because when someone is truly with you, expectations, you won't need constant reassurance about their intentions. Their presence will speak louder than anything they could ever say. The way someone values you shapes every action they take toward you. Value determines treatment, because people naturally protect, prioritize, and nurture what they see as meaningful. When a man truly values a woman, his behavior aligns with that recognition. He becomes mindful, respectful, and intentional. She is no longer just someone he spends time with. She becomes someone he is accountable to. Her presence is not taken for granted. Her boundaries are honored. Her time is respected. This shift doesn't come from pressure or fear of loss, but from an inner sense of appreciation. When someone is valuable to you, you make sure they feel it. Not occasionally, but consistently. Their feelings matter, their comfort matters, and their presence in your life becomes something you actively protect. On the opposite side, when a woman is not truly valued by a man, the signs are equally clear. She will be treated casually, inconsistently, and conditionally. Her importance will depend on his mood, his convenience, or his current circumstances. He might speak kindly but act carelessly. He might make promises but fail to follow through. In this space, expectations, she becomes something to pass the time, not something to build a future with. The energy he gives will feel minimal, because the value he assigns is minimal. Expectations. When someone doesn't value what they have, they don't fear losing it. They don't protect it, cherish it, or grow with it. Expectations, they simply assume it will always be there until it's not. This is why it's so important for individuals, especially women, expectations, to understand their own worth deeply. When you carry yourself with dignity, when you know what you bring, expectations, and when you no longer accept being treated as ordinary, you begin to filter who truly sees you and who only sees opportunity in you. A man who truly values a woman will not try to test her, manipulate her, or make her compete. He won't keep her waiting while he explores other options. He will step forward with clarity, because real value doesn't create confusion. It brings out certainty. When something is rare and beautiful, it is handled with care. It is not exposed to chaos. It is not left in the open to be damaged. It is protected. In the same way, when a man values a woman, expectations, his actions will reflect a desire to protect her peace, uplift her path, and honor her presence. He doesn't play with her emotions or minimize her needs. Instead, he listens, supports, and grows with her. His consistency becomes his way of saying, I see you, I choose you, expectations, and I won't take you for granted. You can't teach someone to value you, but you can decide never to remain where you are not valued. Expectations, when you become deeply aware of your own worth, you stop trying to convince others of it. You simply observe their treatment, and allow that to reveal the true perception. Because the truth is simple. How someone sees you will always determine how they treat you. A true connection between two people is never passive. It awakens something deeper, something beyond surface-level emotions. It stirs responsibility. When a man truly connects with a woman, something within him shifts. It is not just attraction, not just chemistry, expectations, but an inner calling to rise to a better version of himself. He begins to feel responsible not for her life, but for how he shows up in it. Expectations. He becomes more conscious of his words, more aware of his actions, and more committed to growth, not just for his own sake, but because he sees how his presence affects her well-being. True connection doesn't allow him to remain careless. It activates a sense of duty. Not one imposed from outside, but one born from within. He wants to protect what they have, not damage it. He wants to nourish it, not neglect it. That's the kind of responsibility that love rooted in awareness creates. When there is no deep connection, there is no inner accountability. A man may be present, but not invested. He may care, but only to the extent that it serves him. In such situations, expectations, there's little reflection on how his actions affect her heart, or how his absence breeds insecurity. Without connection, there is no responsibility, only reaction. But the moment a man feels the weight of a real bond, he becomes more intentional with his energy. He begins to choose his behavior not based on convenience, but based on integrity. He does not avoid the hard conversations or disappear during difficult moments. He stays, not because he is trapped, expectations, but because he understands the importance of being a steady presence in something real. This kind of responsibility does not make a man weak. It makes him deeply conscious. It brings structure to his love. It creates boundaries around what matters. When a woman feels this from a man, she feels safe, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Expectations. She does not have to question his intentions because his responsibility shows through his consistency. His love is not dependent on perfect conditions. His care is not seasonal. It's a constant effort that comes from recognizing that what they have deserves effort, patience, and protection. True connection also makes him aware of his influence. He realizes that his words can either heal or harm, that his silence can create doubt or peace, that his choices build either trust or distance. This awareness does not burden him, it elevates him. It calls him to act from a place of maturity, not ego. Expectations. It pulls him out of self-centered thinking and into shared purpose. When a man feels this connection, he no longer sees love as something he receives, but something he also gives, fully, honestly, and consistently. That is the power of true connection. It transforms affection into action, desire into duty, and emotion into ethical behavior. It draws a man closer not just to another person, but to a deeper understanding of himself. Expectations. Indecision is a silent form of disrespect that hides behind confusion and delay. When someone cannot decide what you mean to them, expectations, it's not your responsibility to wait, adjust, or shrink in hopes of being chosen. You are not meant to fit into someone's uncertainty. Expectations. You are not meant to mold yourself to match someone's temporary needs. When a man is unclear about your value, you do not become more valuable by making yourself smaller, quieter, or easier to handle. You do not become the one by becoming less of who you are. Shrinking to fit into indecision means abandoning your own clarity, doubting your worth, and accepting partial presence when you deserve full attention. Expectations. It means holding back your truth just to maintain someone else's comfort. That is not love. It is fear wearing the mask of patience. People often stay in spaces where they are tolerated instead of celebrated, all in the name of hope. But real connection does not live in ambiguity. Expectations. It lives in clarity. When a person is ready for you, they don't leave you guessing. They don't keep you on a shelf while they explore other options. Expectations. They step forward. They make space. They offer commitment. Not because they're pressured. Expectations. But because they see your worth and don't want to risk losing it. But when someone is indecisive and you continue to wait. Expectations. You slowly chip away at your own self-respect. You begin to silence your intuition. You make excuses for their absence. You accept moments instead of consistency. And over time, you convince yourself that maybe this is the best you can get. But deep down, you know that love doesn't feel like uncertainty. It doesn't leave you anxious, questioning, or second-guessing your every word. It feels stable, safe, expectations, and sure. Choosing to no longer shrink doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you honest. Expectations. It means you have reached a point where your peace matters more than potential. Where your self-worth no longer depends on someone else's clarity. Where you realize that waiting for someone to choose you while they wander is not romantic. It is self-abandonment. When you stop shrinking expectations, you start expanding. You begin to honor your boundaries. You attract people who are ready, who don't need to be convinced. Expectations, who recognize your worth immediately. You begin to walk away from situations that ask you to settle, and walk toward experiences that reflect the truth of who you are. Indecision from another person is not a reflection of your value. It is a reflection of their readiness. It is not your job to become easier to choose. Expectations. It is your responsibility to choose yourself when others can't. The right person will never require you to dim your light, to fit into their shadow of doubt. You were not created to be half loved or half chosen. And the moment you stop shrinking to fit expectations, you make room for someone who knows exactly what they see when they look at you. Something whole, something rare, something they won't risk losing. Your behavior is a mirror that reflects your inner world. It reveals more about you than your words ever can. People can say the right things, expectations, craft the perfect sentences, and present themselves with convincing charm, but it is their behavior, consistent, unconscious, and repeated, that exposes the truth. What you choose to do, how you respond under pressure, how you treat others when you gain nothing in return, all of it uncovers who you truly are beneath the surface. The way you behave is not separate from your character. It is your character in motion. Expectations. When a man treats a woman with respect, patience, and consistency, it shows he values not only her but also the standard he holds for himself. Expectations. He does not act right just for her. He behaves well because integrity is a part of who he is, even when no one is watching. Expectations. People often forget that love is not only about feelings but about discipline. Feelings come and go, but behavior is what sustains trust. A man may feel love, but if his actions are inconsistent, careless, or self-centered, then that love is immature, unrefined, or conditional. True love reflects itself in the way you show up, the way you listen, the way you support, and the way you hold space for another without trying to control them. And that can't be faked. Over time, behavior speaks louder than affection, louder than charm, louder than promises. You can't pretend kindness if your ego is louder. You can't fake presence if your attention is divided. Expectations. You can't fake growth if your habits haven't changed. Behavior also reveals your self-awareness. Expectations. It shows whether you act out of emotional reaction or conscious choice, whether you build or destroy, whether you take responsibility or hide behind excuses. Expectations. When you constantly blame others for your actions, when you run from accountability, or when you make excuses for the harm you cause, it does not mean you are evil. It means you are still unaware. But when you begin to reflect on your actions, own your patterns, and make corrections, expectations, that shift in behavior reveals maturity. It shows that you are growing into someone who does not let wounds define how they treat others. You start operating from wisdom, not just impulse. Your behavior also reveals your priorities, what you make time for, what you protect, what you neglect, what you stay loyal to, and what you easily discard. All of it reveals what truly matters to you. You can say you care, but if your actions show indifference, expectations, then that care does not live in your heart. It lives in your imagination. Who you are is not just found in the highlights of your life, but in the details. In how you speak to a stranger, in how you handle disappointment, in how you respond when no one is looking. The world reads who you are not by what you post, expectations, but by how you live. The people closest to you may never remember all your words, but they will never forget how you made them feel through your actions. Behavior, in the end, becomes your signature.